All right, welcome back to Shelf Center. Thank you so much for stopping by. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to do what I've said I'm going to do, which is to provide my top 10 fantasy book list of all time. Top 10. This is, some might say, the definitive list. Might just be me, but hey, that's someone. And I've got it back here. It's a motley crew of books. So I set a couple rules for myself for this list. The first one is if it was involved in a series, I was just going to pick one in the series. One, I should put that in film. One in the series, and then I also set a rule that if it was a series, that I had to read at least a couple of them. So you're going to see some notable, because I just feel like the series is still tied together in at least some degree. So this is just fantasy. This is not my science fiction top 10 list, which we'll get to eventually. This is just fantasy. But there will be some standalones on here as well, you're going to see. But I just kind of had to, I felt like that was the most true to a top 10 list that I wanted to be able to give. And so this is going to be the top 10. I know I kind of talked about a couple different lists that I've had. You're going to see some notable exceptions because of the fact of those rules. A couple that I wanted to put in that were on my list when I was putting these together was The Way of Kings, the Stormlight Archive, and The Lives of Locke Lamora. Sadly, I've only read one in either of those series, and so I just felt like I feel like they're eventually going to end up in this, so I might have to revise this when I get my act together and actually catch up on some of the series some of the many series that I'm in the middle of, I don't know. So this is just for this moment, in 2021, these are my top 10 fantasy series. And anyway, so fantasy series, fantasy books, just in general. I might actually do a top 10 fantasy series, but this is just all of my top 10. I think eventually I want to do a top 100. I've got that. This list was hard to narrow down to 20, let alone 10, but I was like, okay, if I promise myself that I can do a top 100 eventually, then I can do a top 10 now and not feel bad about the tons of books that I want to put on this list. Okay, sorry, that was seriously, shut up about this intro. All right, first book. Right here. So I only chose one. I chose my favorite in the series, like I said. We're starting out, this is number 10, and I'm not cheating this time. Last time I did a top 10 list, I kind of cheated and said, they're all about in the top 10-ish. This is number 10. All right, it is Song of Ice and Fire. This was the one that blew my mind as far as, and again, I think this tells you how good my list is. This one blew my mind as far as a character that I hated in the beginning, and in this book I was like, well, how is he the one I'm probably rooting for the most at this point? I was blown away. I'm still blown away. Part of the problem is that later books I'm not as enthused about. I'm a little frustrated with just like, I think there was a time of, hey, I can have some patience with getting these books out. I understand it. I am beyond that now. It's kind of like, it's like, okay, now it's a series that I just can't care about like I used to. There was a time, this was probably arguably 1 or 2 or 3 at least on my list. Now it's down to 10. I can't say the show isn't hurting that anyway on top of it. So that ending kind of ruined me. Just what does that say for a series if, who talks about rewatching it at all? Let me know. No one that I know of. So that's, again, I think that's telling. Ooh. Actually, whoops. Okay. I meant to put this there. The Magicians series. This one is actually not my favorite. Gosh dang it. Already breaking my rules. All right. My favorite is actually just the first book. It blew my mind in so many ways. It's so good. This whole trilogy is good. I just realized today that I've lent out the first book and don't have it. But this one's fine. It's a good one too. I like the whole trilogy. But The Magicians, Lev Grossman, I just blew my mind with, I've been so into fantasy books my whole life. I've read Narnia, I've read, Harry Potter, I've read all these. But to kind of put a spin on it, hey, what if you actually did experience these really traumatic events? What if you really did have these crazy expectations of yourself or from others and just couldn't quite live up to them? I mean, so many things, just psychologically dealing with some of these things. This took it to a new level. Plus, we got to do a Narnia type situation and a magician's school. So many things that I love. You got to try. It's such a good series. There's a reason it was picked up as a sci-fi actual original series. All right, this is again breaking my rules. I tried to put on the First Law series, and many years ago, many moves ago, I've moved way too many times with too many books. And you're gonna hate on me. And it's gonna be deservedly so. My beautiful editions of the First Law, I got rid of them. They're the ones that look like maps. They're so good looking. They're awesome, but this is definitely a deserved place. So we're on number 7 here. Number 8 is what I meant. Number 8 is the First Law series, actually. The Blade itself, Before They're Hanged, and Last Argument of Kings. I'm going to put Last Argument as my favorite of the 3. There just so many things happen in that. And just Logan Nine Fingers, bloody nine and all over the place. It was just so good. Anyway, I did have this, and it was either this one or Best Served Cold, both of which I've read and which are awesome too. So great series. Number 8. Number 7. This was, okay, actually, I think from here on out, they are all the favorites in the series. Number 7, The Demon Cycle, Warded Man by Peter V. Brett. So I only picked one. I picked my favorite. This was quite the intro. And just before he goes like all Neo, in the Matrix, he is a simple farmer kid like most people there in this area of the world which is not populated by many humans because the demons rise at night and you got to have your wards ready. The series kicks off so well with this one. This one I called my reading crack. Whenever anything would come out, this would just pop to the top of my list. And you see why when I get enough authors that are like that for me, I suddenly have 30, 40 different series that I'm in the middle of. All right, continuing on. Let's see. We have 10, 9, 8, 7. We are on number 6. Number 6. These are some of the most emotion-packed books that I've ever read in my life. They're so powerful. We've got Janny Wirt's series. I think right now it's only so low on my list because I need to just keep reading. I'm on book 5. So good, so well done. Just something about this a protagonist that cares about his enemies even. You just don't see that very often. I mean, you do, like, it's not like everyone's like out there like, I'm a murderer, well, some of them are all those assassins with a heart of gold, I guess. But this one really, to see how much your main character will do to try to avoid even their enemy being hurt. And it's powerful, and it's such a powerful series. You're in love with everything pretty much in it, down to the horses. I love her writing. It's just so impactful, and it's very dense. So don't go into it going, this is an easy nothing read. It's heavy duty too. Number 5, right in the middle. This one's my favorite one. The Dark Tower, Wizard and Glass. This one definitely deserves to be up there. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. Just so well done. So insane. I want to do a video of maybe, my favorite series where you feel part of this like friendship power. Man, I'm really good with titles. So, but the quartet in the Dark Tower, you feel you're part of it. You are part of the quartet, which is, if you've read it, you'll know that it's like this. You're more than just I guess it could not be a group of friends. It could be a group of enemies even, but you're linked by Ka, which is destiny, and so, but powerfully linked, and especially in a quartet. The way I see it, in these and the couple of quartets that are mentioned are more a very like powerful group of friends, and not just a group of friends, but it's just like more than that. That they'll do literally anything for each other. But man, and Wizard and Glass, I know I've been saying this, one of the best love stories ever told in tragedies, and so powerful. Love that book. All right, that was number 5, 4. Number 4. There we go. I think I can count. Number 4, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. This, oh my gosh, it's a tank. This is over in, I think this is trade paperback. It's kind of over 1,000 pages in trade paperback. Footnotes galore. It's just magic. It's silly. It's but also serious, and it is one of it's just a magical. It's like Neil Gaiman. If you read his writing, he has just this magical kind of way about delivering things. That's Susanna Clarke. Susanna Clarke is so amazing, and this is just one book of hers. I need to read it again. I've been meaning to. If you've seen the show's excellent. As much as it can be, but again, I just feel like the book, obviously, I'm going to prefer. It's so good. It's just so well done. That's all I'm saying. But it's funny because it's not something that I think I would normally, ever have loved or pictured myself loving as much as I do. That one has a special place in my. All right, getting down. Top three. I think it might be a little recency bias for me, but going with The Wheel of Time. I just finished this year. I loved it. I loved the whole thing. I did struggle through the slog. I admit that there's a slog. I'm not going to be a denier of the slog, but I think it's a testament as to how good the rest are, especially the first 6 books are, that the slog is just, hey, you know what, I can spend more time in this world. I love this world. I debated whether it was going to be Knife of Dreams, because that is my favorite, but I went with the Great Hunt. Is a little, it's one where I feel like it really like draws you into this world, and you are suddenly, there's no going back, for me at least. So that's why I'm putting Great Hunt as my favorite. Knife of Dreams might be a close second, because that one's so good. Just the things that are tied up, and the everything, and so powerfully done. But The Wheel of Time, oh my gosh, and I'm so excited for this. Just hope it's well done, this TV series. I have some misgivings, but we'll see. I need to just, it's okay. You know what? Because it's hard. It's an uphill battle no matter what. Wheel of Time, though, number 3. All right, number 2. This was one of my biggest struggles, was what to put as number 1. And I haven't really talked about this series as much, and you're going to see, I guess, probably, if you know me and what I've kind of put on my channel, what number 1 will be by what my number 2 will be. But number 2, I am going with The Two Towers, the Lord of the Rings. The Two Towers is my favorite of those 3 books. This was the one where everyone's running in different directions, and then obviously the Battle of Helm's Deep. These are the only covers that are movie covers that I think work so well. I'm gonna cheat a little bit here. Grab some more down. Look at that. This is a movie cover. That is a movie cover. Come on. Look at this. It's got inside this version has big old map. I don't want to screw this up. But the full map, fold out map. These are awesome. I love these versions. So you've got, this is literally, that's how good the movies are. That's how good the movies are, is you can literally take pictures of the movie, put them on the cover. Look at that. Look at that. Come on. That is amazing. There we go. Get in the right light. So very few in my experience, very few movie covers do these justice. But that's mine. Lord of the Rings, what can I say more other than this is what got me to realize that you can be so immersed in a different world than you've ever experienced. And it's done so well. Fall in love again. Another fellowship. I love the being part of the group and feeling part of it. You feel part of it. And I think that's one of those messages is even the littlest is part of something big and can be part of something big. And they're just, I went out seeking other fantasy books to try to recapture this feeling that I had while reading The Lord of the Rings. And so maybe I need to talk more about that. But and I'm sure that's why it's like one of the #1 selling books of all time. I would imagine more people have that same thought as I do. And so, but it's #2 because in my book, there is one that at least fights with it. It's at least, but I went with it. I bit the bullet. It is going to be the Malazan Book of the Fallen. I know, you're so surprised. This is my favorite in the series. Still is. I've reread it. It's so good. It's so powerful. I know, that's like my word. I told you before I needed a thesaurus. Oh, what is this? There's a page here. Anyway, so this is my original copy that I read. So good. Got Gruntle there on the front. Anyway, this is one that, again, that immersion. I felt immersed. I love the characters. I rooted for them. I cried when tragic, terrible things happen to them, which Erickson loves to do. He's not going to pull punches in this series at all. He's going to go for it, and in seeing the depravity, I think you see the good too, and it like helps you to see that kind of that opposites. You see the good and the good things that happen, and you have some of these quotes like on compassion and just this different perspective on immortals, on beings that live thousands and hundreds of thousands of years, and you kind of start to go, yeah, maybe I would get a little jaded. Maybe I don't. It's an interesting look, and it's as epic as I have ever read, and I'm still reading it, and I'm still rereading it, and I think a big factor for me loving any kind of media, any movies, is the rewatchability. I make that's a big factor for me, or rereadability, and Malazan has that in spades because you reread going, I missed so many things. I missed all of the things. Malazan's up there, so that's going to be #1. All right, hey, let me know, what are your favorite books, favorite fantasy books? What are your top 10? Let me know in the comments. I need to know. Top 10. One of the things, it's a little side tangent, but you're probably done by now anyway. The thing that kind of got me on the internet looking for more books and fantasy books and all that was I just started Googling kind of top 10. I was looking for more. I found these lists. I know I've talked about this before. I found SFF World, which is a whole online forum dedicated to just fantasy and science fiction books and talking about it. One of my favorite threads on there was everyone listing their top 10 books list. And what I did, and I thought it was very clever, I still do to this day, was I went through, I started a list, and if I saw a book, because you start seeing the same couple books, you'll see The Wheel of Time, Song of Ice and Fire, of course. I just started writing those down, the ones that I saw multiple times. And so I kept this list, I still have it, and I've still been checking it off and again, part of why I'm so distracted and have so many books I'm in the middle of, because I want to read them all. But I finding those ones, and maybe I'll do a video on the list that I created. But that's what I started with is looking at what are all these people's top 10 lists and what was hitting a bunch of times, and I had to write them down, and still going through it. So thanks for sticking with me. I hope you enjoyed this. I had fun making it, although it was a daunting task, and now you're going to hold me to it, and I don't know, I might change tomorrow. No, I think this is fair enough to say that I can stick with this for a bit, and they might move up and down in that order to some degree, but that's where I'm sticking with it. And I'm going to do some more here coming up. So please like, subscribe. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you stopping by and doing what you're doing. I really cannot thank you enough.